Now I would like to present my paper titled An Overview of Selected Yusof Ghani Abstract Expressionist Painting. We start with introduction first. This review indicates that the comparison of the works by utilizing the Edmund Kirkman approach as also essential since it may be used as a reference material, particularly for the younger generation, in order for them to have a more in-depth familiarity with the works of abstract expressionism. The particular piece of art was selected from the artist's collection and it was taken in digital format. The finding of his study make it abundantly evident which characteristic of the abstract expressionist style were utilized by the artist in the production of the artwork. Yusof Ghani is a Malaysian painter, sculptor, writer, and curator who was born in the year 1950 in the state of Johor in Malaysia. His work has spanned over 3 decades, which has led to the creation of a variety of series that use an abstract expressionist style and are inspired by motifs from Southeast Asia. Painting and drawing are combined into a single visual entity in his works, which also feature a controlled play of sculptural and collage components. The background. According to Yusuf Ghani, during an interview with him in his studio 2021, when he was a little boy, he lived in a village in Johor and there was a family member who ran a tiny movie theater not far from his home. He used to spend a lot of time there watching a movie. Early on, he developed an interest in painting by visually depicting movement and incorporating a feeling of time into his painting, which he attributed to watching Western film like cowboy films. Yusuf Ghani began his career as a graphic artist in Malaysia between the years 1969 and 1979. In 1979, he received a scholarship from government in Malaysia to study graphic arts at George Mason University in Virginia. This was the beginning of Yusuf Ghani's transition into the field of fine art. Yusof pursued a degree in fine arts after being awarded the Dr. Ben Amanda Scholarship for the most excellent art student. After completing his study, he resumed his employment with a master named Nakashima, who instructed him in the more nuanced aspect of painting. During his time as a student at Catholic University, he struck up a friendship with the Malaysian artist Awang Damit Ahmad, whose work is characterized by abstract expressionist tendency too. His protest series, protest, which pro, his protest series, which protest the U.S. intervention in Nicaragua and El Salvador at that time, was well received. A review from the Washington Post art critic Joe N. Lewis. After he finished his master degree, he had his first successful solo exhibition at the prestigious Anton Gallery in Washington, D.C. Yusof continued the series of collection after back to Malaysia. These collections are titled Tari or Dance, Topeng, Mas, Wayang or Theatre, Hijau or Green, Segera, a Movement, Biring, Fighting Cockerels, and Wajah or Faces. Yusof is presently working on Ombak or waves. This statement is found in an article written by Mulyadi Mahmud in the book Segera Yusof Ghani 2004. Currently, his major work deal with contemporary issue concerning Malaysian society such as social issue regarding famine and injustice, the nation history, distortion of Asian motif and depiction of visual energy. He has done a number of solo as well as group shows that have been quite successfully both locally and abroad. Methodology. According to the According to Associate Professor Dr. Bassa in his edited book Art Education and Overview 2021, it was stated that the method that was used for visual analysis on selected artwork was referred to the Edmund Pittman 1994, where the inquiry was with clear description, analysis, interpretation, and judgment, which allow for a systematic investigation of work of art produced in almost every period, movement, and style as a technique of art criticism. Page 59. In this analysis, the discrepancies based on classification of images and three distinct kind of ground in order to present a exhaustive explanation of the process by which the work was produced. For this reason, a few pieces of artwork from the Segera were chosen to be evaluated, and one of those pieces was given the title Deer Hunter. The image is broken up into fragments and even a digital appearance in order to make a process of analyzing the content and context of artwork easier to complete. As can be seen from the straightforward four-step process as mentioned above, the procedure of analyzing is quite simple. Segera, this is the work that I'm comment preview for this paper. Segera Dia Hunter. Result and discussion. Description. Yusof Ghani created the painting titled Segera Deer Hunter in the year 203. The overall dimension of painting are 122 cm horizontal and 185 cm vertical. This artwork is collection by Datuk Richard Wong. Datuk Richard Wong is an art collector based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. There are five images of a figure painted imperfectly and in a position of embracing toward different responsiveness to a canvas. Four of these figures seemingly bring a sense of outward facing, whilst one the figures seem partially looking to the back. This painting was also a result from combination of primary color that are limited to yellow, red, blue, and white. The use of broad yellow seemed predominant, covering entire space of the painting. Likewise, blue brush strokes seemingly apparent in a horizontal direction, while red brush stroke is vertical direction. Clearly and evident, Yusof Ghani focused on the exploration of figurative movement through this painting. There are five Vogue figures depicting fluidity movement amid the color coming from the background area, then moving toward the left side of the canvas before circling forward and then moving toward the right side of the canvas as if the document human movement in fast moving motion. These five figures are placed in the middle and upper surface of the painting. However, the emphasis of the line and color employed on a figure position in foreground was seemingly clearer and vibrant than the figure placed in the middle ground. This is intended to represent an aesthetic distance appearance in between and foreground and the foreground and background image. The equal amounts of brush stroke on the upper left surface and red brush stroke on the bottom right surface give a balanced tonal range to the composition. Likewise, yellow brush stroke on the upper surface of the canvas seem fairly flowing to the right area, whilst yellow brush stroke on the bottom surface seem fairly flowing to the left area of the canvas. Color as space, color and space shape the human form. This is the foreground, and I'll capture the middle ground, and the other one is a background image. Space, number 4, space and composition. The similarity of approach in creating space and composition in the body of both our abstract expressionist painter Awang Damit in Jejak Waktu Memori Kelabu and Yusof Ghani in Segerak Dia Hantar are obviously revealed through each six segment of composition, whereas three segments are apparent on the upper surface and a different three segment on below surface of the painting. The three segment on the bottom surface of the painting seem predominant in space, yet both painting capture balance in space and atmosphere. Yellow color seem nearly dominating the entire painting of Segerak Di Hunter, while Jejak Waktu Memori Kelabu is seemingly dominated by the combination of white and grey. And the segment on the bottom left surface for both painting takes up wider space of the canvas. According to the late art historian Reza Piadasa, narrative in Malaysian Art Volume 1, Imagining Identity, the treatment of the local landscape in modern Malaysian art 1930 to 1981, 2021, page 39. Even though each artist is individually different in terms of style and approach in the art making, however, they generally comply with the academic rule of the Western art, particularly regarding space and atmosphere. In addition, he added, creation of the work of art merely an idealistic interpretation, not realistic showcase of an optical illusion. Space and composition. Predominant yellow seemingly cycling up space highlighted the entire atmosphere of the painting. Images of five figures seem apparent in every corner of the painting, intended to represent a quiet motion of figurative movement and subtitle of human body language, rational fluidity via clockwise seem reflecting the circle of life. We often repeat our daily routine over and over again on every week and even on daily basis. This daily routine, such as our responsibilities toward the Almighty, society, family, and own self, has become a sense of our life. Both painting style and comparison. Both painting have similarity in terms of style and the figurative subject. Hands, expressive line and clearly highlighted in both painting line and stroke on the artwork entitled Woman 1, 1952 by William D. Kooning, seemingly more spontaneous and aggressive and not too concerned about the anatomy of figure, while the painting of Yusof Ghani entitled Segerak Dia Hunter reflect more of casual approach on style but greatly emphasize on the proportion of the figure. Interpretation. This painting has a story of its own and seems to be memory etched in the subconscious mind of Yusuf Ghani. The story takes place in village somewhere in Pontian, revolving the life of one man who is truly admired by the villager because of his efficiency in deer hunting. Pak Ayub, who is deer hunter, goes out on his deer hunting mission at every weekend and has never failed to bring home a hunted prey. Sometimes he even brought back a total of 2 deers from just a single hunt. Yusuf Ghani, who was at that time a young teenager, often flipping through Pak Ayub hunting gun and inspired to learn hunting skill from him as well, being respected as a successful hunter someday. In a weekend in Kota Tinggi, as usual, the villagers often were waiting upon the return of Pak Ayub and his friend from their hunting mission. But sadly, on that very evening, it was not the captured deer that was from the vehicle. Due to an unfortunate event, Pak Ayub was shot down by one of his hunting mates who had mistaken him over a deer rigidly moving in between the branches and foliage of the thick forest. Thus, could this be a sign of curse of animal, in which a deer sometimes convey as a creature of the mystical world? The strength of the painting is manifested in the spontaneity of stroke, appearance in expressive bold color, exploration of line and composition of space, as well as the color in this painting play the role of revisiting memory and translating the emotion depicted through figurative movement. It is possible that this movement of five figures in Segera explained in unrest emotion of the fellow huntsman of the thick forest who had mistakenly shot down Pak Ayub, or maybe it was the representation of an unrest emotion among the villagers who anxiously waited for the return of Pak Ayub and the huntsman. Yusof Ghani is very skillful in creating expressive mark and line forming basic structure of a figure depicting the figurative movement and position. Mulyadi 2004, Segera Yusof Ghani, page 144. Expressive impact were effectively reflected through a contour of line, however perceived to be less dominant. The painter Yusof Ghani revealed his exploration in capturing figurative movement visually and in an environment through Segera the Hunter. Judgment. On the whole, this painting appeared to be very successful in its presentation of harmonious warm color and the projection of figurative image visually moving amid and color seemingly forming a soft, undulating, undulating, undulating rhythm. Clearly, even at a glance, viewer could predict that the painter is one successful artist with an extensive experience in the abstract expressionism movement. The painter seems skillful in his controlled play of color, of cool color that were composed horizontally, blending through the warm color as if the allure viewer eyes to travel through the visual entity and focus and full focus. Figure that is apparent in the action of a rotating movement will also forcing the viewer eyes to be responsive to the rotation directed in a clockwise manner. Having said that, Isokani has well planned the production of this painting and whose style and influenced by William de Kooning, who is an activist in the abstract expressionist movement. That's all for me. Thank you.